Okay, so we're leveled at flight level 350 on our way to Calgary. We are approximately at 320 nautical miles. So we're gonna start setting up the aircraft for descent. First thing I want to check is the winds, so I can choose the runway and also get a sense of what's the weather in Calgary right now. So what we have here is Calgary weather taken at 0200 Zulu, wind 070 at 7 knots. So with that information I know that I can either choose runway 35 left or 35 right. I'll shoot for 35 left. Visibility 40 statute miles, few clouds 2,800, few clouds 15,000, few clouds 25,000, temperature 11, viewpoint 4, altimeter 299.4. And checking the remarks to verify where's the ceiling, and you see that there's actually no ceiling. There should be a good visibility descending to Calgary today. So once we have checked that, we're gonna start getting ready for the descent. So descending to Calgary, we're gonna use the EQUIP 3 arrival and tax transition, and that is going to be landing on runway 35 left. So we'll check the routing. We'll reduce the scale here and change this to flight plan, and then just see how that looks. First we're gonna move Antec to here, and then we're gonna move one by one. So after Antec, we just want to make sure that it looks okay before we accept, and allow the aircraft to calculate the descent and let us know where our top of descent is going to be. So we can see Tulov, Ikvet, Sugaf, Urluk, Bezga. Then that's where we do the turn to Meska, depth 2, and then from here these are vectors. Then we should be turning in, or ATC should be turning us in to the final approach into 35 left. So it looks okay. Execute. And just want to get a sense of. Okay, there's one thing we need to correct here, because this extended line here, those are the vectors. So that's why it's stating at the top of the descent, just around there. We know that the top of the descent is roughly going to be around here. However, let's see if we can recalculate that if we eliminate these vectors from here. So the way we do that is that we'll take Gabo, move it there. Let's see if that did the trick, and true enough. Now we have the top of descent shortly after crossing Antec. We are still 150 miles from our top of descent. I'm just gonna finish checking on a couple of things here. Make sure it looks good. Okay. And as you can see, it's letting us know all the crossing restrictions. Antec above 14,000, Tulov above 13,200, Ikvev below 13,000, then Sugap above 12,000, so on and so forth. At the end, by Meska we need to be higher than 7,500, and after the vectors usually takes us down to 6,500. That's the autopilot just maintaining the speed. checked on VATSIM for active ATC. There is no ATC in Edmonton. FIR is not online. Seattle, but anyway, if I log right now into VATSIM, Seattle Center will only take me for a few minutes because before they release me as I continue my descent to Calgary, so I'm just not gonna bother. Just for reference, one of the things I do is that I use flightplan.com to have access to the charts. And so I check the ECPEP 3 arrival into Calgary transition routes. So pretty much what we're doing is we're going to be following the Antac transition, crossing Antac, then descending from Antac to Tula about 13,200, then to ECPEP, and as we're going to be landing on 35 left by ECPEP, we should be lower than 13,000 and it's lower than 230 knots, which is what we are doing. And after we cross ECPEP, this is what we will do. We will continue ECPEP through Sugaf at 12,000 or above, Urbuk at 10,000 or above, Vesga, and then after Vesga we should be making a right turn into Mesca, which is roughly around here, and then make this left turn. So we need to open up the page 2 of this arrival route, which is here. So here we go. This is the one for runways 35 left and 35 right, and runway 29 as well. So after Vesga, we make a right turn to Mesca at higher than 7,500, and a left turn heading 165 to depth 2, and then on track 165, which is the vector, before starting to turn left to line up to this runway here, 35 left. So some of the restrictions here, as we can see, is that by Mesca we need to be higher than 7,500 and it's lower than 200 knots. So we're going to leave that open, and at the same time I'm going to start getting two things ready here. One of them is the ILS 35 left, and the other one is the airport chart. So this is where we're going to be landing, 35 left, and I like 35 left because we'll just roll down the runway and then just make a right turn, and it's a quick and easy taxi into the main terminal. So we're going to leave this aside for a minute while we continue to check on how things are going over here. Still a while to cross Antac, and actually we can see how much longer till we cross Antac. Go to the route, then route data. Antac we will be crossing at 2009 Zulu, and it's 1956 Zulu. So 10 minutes, 13 minutes, 12 minutes now. I'll just pause the video here and resume it as we approach the top of the descent, so we can start descending down to Calgary. Okay, so we're preparing for the descent. Okay, so we are preparing for the descent. I've set my altitude at 13,000, which is the crossing altitude we need at ECPEP. And with that, we should be starting our descent anytime now. We're crossed Antac, and as you can see, the autopilot is already making the adjustments for that descent. The first thing it does is that it's lowering the speed, and then it will continue he will start to descend down to 13,000 feet. I've just adjusted the scale here so we can check here, zooming out or increasing the scale. That's our route down to Calgary. And here we go. So I have adjusted the speed. Yeah, I need to start descending down to 13,000. That we have started our descent. I'll set the auto brake on 1 in preparation for landing. I'll double check the altimeter and the winds for Calgary. And winds count 030. Visibility reduced from the last time we checked. If you remember, last time we checked it was at 40 statute miles. Now it went down to 15 statute miles. It's good enough anyway. Few clouds 2,500, few clouds 15,000, few clouds 25,000. Temperature 9, dew point 3, altimeter 299 or 6, and no ceiling. So still good visibility. In Calgary should be a nice landing. The winds are calm, so it should be nice and smooth. We'll see how that goes. And altimeter 299 or 6. So as soon as we're approaching flight level 180, we are going to be changing the standard altimeter from standard altimeter to altimeter 299 or 6. So just move this away. So high and continue descending now, descending through flight level 310. Okay, so I'll let it continue descending, and I'm going to come back right before making the right turn on Mesca. Here we should be, if you remember, down to 7,500 and at 200 knots. So I'll just follow, so the aircraft will continue to follow the star. ECVEP 3 arrival. And one of the things I do at this time is that I go back to the charts and check, not that one, this one, and check what was that heading after. Okay, so we'll be turning right on Mesca, track 165, cross dead 2, track 165, so that's the vector we should follow after dead 2. So what I do is that I set that track here right away. As you can see, as I do that, it shows me where that vector is. I'm just gonna get it ready at heading 165. There we go. And we will continue to descend to cross ECVEP at 13,000. Now, one thing that we're seeing here is this is telling me that we will reach, at this rate of descent, we will reach 13,000, not at ECVEP, rather after ECVEP and closer to SUGAF. And the star indicates that we should cross ECVEP at or below 13,000. So we need to do a minor tweak here to bring this green line closer, as close as possible to ECVEP. So I'll just get the spoilers, just a little bit of spoilers. And that was good enough. Let's see if that worked. Okay, it's adjusting itself. It worked temporarily. Let's do that one more time. That's 50%. And we'll take them down. Just adjusting itself. However, as you can see, it did move closer to ECVEP, so now it appears to have worked. And if we do it one more time, we should be able to get that line right on top of ECVEP. So spoilers 50%, just for a few seconds. Good enough. Let's see if that worked. Let's let it recalculate and bring that green line as close as possible to ECVEP, and that should be right about right. Now we have it where we need it, we want it. We want to stick to this standard terminal arrival, unless there is ATC, and for ATC to give us a different instruction, canceling the altitude restrictions on the star and allowing us to descend further down. But in this case there is no ATC, so we're gonna try to stick to the star as much as possible. And just want to make sure that I arm the speed brakes so they activate automatically after landing. Okay, they're armed. Now descending through 19,200. So one more time we'll check the altimeter. Altimeter 299.6 and meter remains the same, so it's 299.6 now, and this is a good timing to do that. And 299.6. There we go. Remember, the protocol is to change the altimeter setting on the standard side of it. That means that when I'm descending, as we just did, I need to change from a standard to the local altimeter on the standard side. That means before I reach flight level 180. I've adjusted that. We're a little bit fast here, and that's one thing we want to check. Let's see if we can get that information from flypan.com. And okay, so arrival routes, IGVEP, so we'll be crossing at 13,000. This is not the one I'm looking for. The one I'm looking for. IGVEP at 13,230 knots. So I do need to reduce my speed because I need to cross IGVEP at 230 knots. And to do that, I am going to get those spoilers up again. Okay, after crossing IGVEP, I need to continue descending to 7,500. Okay, we've done that. And reducing the speed to 230 knots. Worked about okay. 13,100, and as you can see, we are just crossing IGVEP. So we are crossing IGVEP at 13,000 or below, and we are just barely gonna make it. Crossing IGVEP at 230 knots or less. So I have the spoilers at 50%. You can see that here as well. And now that we're reaching 230 knots, which is what I wanted and needed, I am going to get those spoilers back to 0 and get them armed. So as you can see, spoilers are armed. 230 knots. Okay, and I wanted to continue descending on the star. Okay, so we're going down to 7,500, now descending through 2,200. So we need to cross Urvug at higher than 10,000, Mesca higher than 7,500. what we want to check is the speed restrictions. So the aircraft is anyway adjusting them according to the star, and we can double check that here. You see that this is telling us that Vesga, we should be crossing Vesga at lower than 220 knots, and indeed that's what the aircraft is doing here. We're 7.7 nautical miles from Vesga, and the aircraft adjusted it to 220 knots. So that appears to be working okay. Should be able to get a visual of the airport now. So that's Calgary, and the airport a little bit of mist there, so that's why we can't see it. Oh, it's over there. That's the airport out there. That's where it starts. And that's the tower. And back there is the main terminal. That's where we're heading. We're descending through 10,000 now, so we're going to turn on the lights. And the other thing we want to check as we continue our descent is that we want to go to the ILS and make sure that the frequency of this localizer for 35 left is the same one the aircraft has in its database. Sometimes it's not the same, so it's good to double check. 111.5. So we're making that turn to Mesca now, descending through 9,400, and we'll check that the frequency for, here it is, ILS is 115.5, so that's okay. Made the first turn. That's the city down there. Aircraft already adjusted the speed down to 200 knots, which is indeed what the star is asking us to do. At Mesca, higher than 7,500 and slower than 200 knots, so that's working out okay. So far so good. Okay, we're approaching at the altitude and we're crossing Mesca now, heading into depth 2. A little bit faster than we needed to. But now I'm gonna take this down to 6,500, which is the altitude I need to get established on the localizer and the glide slope, and I'll move to over here. So we need to cross Gabble at 6,500, Gabble at 7,100, and down to 6,500 to get that glide slope down. And we'll set the decision height at 200 feet, so we'll take care of that as well. So here we're following vectors, and here I'm going to change it to vector I wanted to follow, as we set it up previously. We will let it continue to go down to 200 knots. And we'll get the decision height as well at 200 feet, 200 feet, 200 feet. Okay, so we are at 6,500 now.
2,500.
I need again adjusted the speed to okay, so I needed to intervene there because if you noticed, it's interesting. I need to find out what happened there, but anyway, so a couple of things didn't work. Passengers must be pretty upset right now. Sorry for that, guys.
2,500.
Okay. 6,500. We're gonna start making that turn now. So we're far enough. I need to find out what did I do wrong here, because I had it at 6,500. It reached 6,500, but then it even as I said that, it continued. Is this sand? That's interesting. Okay, we're just changing the scale here. And I want to get that localizer at an angle of 30 degrees or less. I'll just let it get closer, just a little bit closer. And right about here, I'm gonna start making that turn. Apologies, that's not the one. It's this guy here. Heading 020. And we need to activate that frequency and get that localizer. Going to reduce the speed to 180 knots. And flaps 1. Okay, there we are. So we have the localizer. I'm gonna get the glide slope now. And we're gonna get this down to 170 knots. 68 knots, so we can get flaps 5. There we go. got the glide slope now. Get the landing gear down. Speed down 160 knots. We'll check what's the altitude for a missed approach. According to this, heading 315,
2,500.
heading 345, climb to 4,100, and then up to 7,000. Heading 345 and then 315 according to this. Okay. $315 and up to 7,000. Speed down furthermore. 140 knots. Flaps 15.
Pull up.
That was a tower view. Speed down
1,000.
135.
Pull up. Pull up.
Forgot to turn off that alarm there. Flaps. Here I'm just gonna get ready to disconnect the autopilot because sometimes it happens. I still don't know why.
400.
Sometimes it starts banking to the left. Let's see how this goes.
300. 200. 100.
Nice. Worked out okay.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay. Reverse thrust are activated. Spoilers full. And that's it.